There are places in America that don't appear on tourist brochures. Places where streetlights flicker for no reason. Places where locals lock their doors before sunset. Places where even the bravest travelers feel something watching them. These aren't fictional horror movie settings. These are real American towns. Towns with dark histories that can't be erased. Towns where unexplained things happen regularly. Towns where locals will literally warn you not to visit. Some of these places are abandoned. Others still have residents who've learned to live with the darkness. A few have been completely evacuated and sealed off forever. What you're about to see might disturb you. It might give you nightmares. It might make you question everything you thought you knew about America. Today, we're counting down the top 80 and creepiest small towns in the United States. These are places where something went terribly wrong. And in some cases, that something is still happening. Watch at your own risk. Let's begin. Before we dive into our countdown, let me explain something. Every town on this list was chosen for specific reasons. Some have documented supernatural activity. Others have histories so dark they've been covered up for decades. A few have been physically abandoned due to dangers we still don't fully understand. I've researched police reports. I've read first-hand accounts from terrified visitors. I've studied the warnings that locals have posted online. What I found genuinely disturbed me. These aren't urban legends or creepypasta stories. These are real places with real addresses. Places you could technically visit today, though after watching this video, you probably won't want to. Some viewers have asked why these towns became so sinister. The answers vary. Sometimes it's a tragic event that left a permanent scar. Sometimes it's the land itself that seems cursed. Sometimes there's no logical explanation at all. That's often the most terrifying part. I've organized these towns from unsettling to absolutely not. The deeper we go, the darker things get. So take a deep breath, maybe turn on some extra lights, and let's explore America's creepiest small towns. Starting with number 8. Town number 12. Cahawba. Alabama. Cahawba was Alabama's first permanent state capital. Founded in 1820, it was meant to be a great city. The location seemed perfect. Right where the Alabama and Cahawba rivers meet. But nature had other plans. Floods devastated Cahawba repeatedly. The capital was moved to Tuscaloosa after only 6 years. Still, people remained. The town survived through the Civil War era. At its peak, over 3,000 people lived here. Then the floods became worse. Entire streets were submerged for months at a time. Disease spread through the stagnant water. People died. And people left. By 1900, Cahawba was completely abandoned. Today, Cahawba is Alabama's most famous ghost town. The state maintains it as a historic site. But rangers and visitors agree on one thing. Something isn't right here. The most famous phenomenon is the Cahawba lights. Mysterious orbs of light appear floating over the old cemetery. They move with apparent intelligence, approaching visitors before retreating into the darkness. These lights have been documented for over a century. Dozens of witnesses each year report seeing them. Scientists have investigated but found no explanation. Beyond the lights, visitors report full-bodied apparitions. A woman in white wanders near the old cemetery. Confederate soldiers march through what were once streets. Children laugh and play in areas where slave quarters once stood. The atmosphere in Cahawba is heavy. Many visitors describe difficulty breathing. Others report sudden, overwhelming sadness. Some feel they're being watched from the moment they arrive until the moment they leave. Cahawba carries the weight of its tragic history. The floods, the disease, the slavery, the Civil War. All of it seems to linger here, trapped between the rivers, unable to move on. Town number 11, Bodie, California. Bodie is America's most famous ghost town. Located high in the Sierra Nevada mountains, it's also one of the most cursed. The gold rush brought thousands to Bodie in the 1870s. At its peak, over 10,000 people lived here. Bodie had over 60 saloons. Murders occurred almost daily. It was known as one of the wildest towns in the West. A young girl moving to Bodie reportedly wrote in her diary, "Goodbye, God, I'm going to Bodie." The town's reputation was that bad. Then the gold ran out. Then a fire destroyed much of downtown. By 1940, Bodie was abandoned. Today, California maintains Bodie in a state of arrested decay. Buildings are preserved exactly as they were left. Dishes remain on tables. Products sit on store shelves. It's frozen in time. But here's what makes Bodie truly terrifying. The town is cursed. Anyone who takes anything from Bodie will suffer horrible luck. This isn't legend. The park rangers receive letters constantly. Thousands of people have mailed back items. They took rocks, pieces of wood, old bottles. Each letter describes the misfortune that followed. Car accidents, divorces, deaths in the family, job losses, serious illnesses. The items are called Bodie's Revenge. Rangers have an entire collection of returned items, and the letters are genuinely disturbing to read. Beyond the curse, Bodie has active hunt rangers living on site report constant paranormal activity. One ranger documented a child's voice calling Mama in an empty house. Others have seen the ghost of a woman in the J.S. Kane house. Music and laughter come from the long-closed Deschambault Hotel. Some visitors report being pushed by invisible hands. Bodie looks beautiful in photographs, but those who visited know the truth. Something there doesn't want visitors, and it will follow you home if you take anything with you. Town number 10, Pitcher, Oklahoma. Pitcher, Oklahoma is one of America's most toxic ghost towns. This former lead and zinc mining community hides a terrifying secret. For decades, mining companies extracted millions of tons of ore. They left behind massive piles of toxic waste called chat. They also left behind something worse. Underground. The mines created hundreds of miles of tunnels beneath Pitcher. Many were never properly mapped. Many ran directly under homes, schools, and businesses. In the 1980s, children started getting sick. Lead poisoning reached epidemic levels. Studies found that over a third of Pitcher's children had lead in their blood. The EPA declared Pitcher a Superfund site. They called it one of America's most toxic places. But it wasn't just poison making Pitcher dangerous. The ground itself was unstable. Sinkholes opened without warning. Homes collapsed into abandoned mine shafts. A massive sinkhole swallowed an entire section of town overnight. The government eventually made a decision. They would buy out every resident Pitcher would cease to exist. By 2011, the town was officially dissolved. Today, almost all buildings have been demolished. What remains is apocalyptic. Empty streets lead to nowhere. Foundations of homes sit beside toxic chat piles. The land itself is poisoned, possibly forever. Visitors report more than just environmental horror here. The abandoned areas feel wrong. A sense of dread permeates everything. Some report seeing figures standing among the chat piles. Others hear children playing in areas where no children live. Local authorities discourage visiting Pitcher. The air is still dangerous. The ground could still collapse. And whatever remains here doesn't seem friendly. Pitcher is a monument to corporate greed and a warning about what happens when we poison the earth. Town number 9, Adams, Tennessee. Adams of Tennessee looks peaceful. Rolling farmland stretches in every direction. Tobacco barns dot the landscape. Friendly locals wave from their porches. But this town holds one of America's most terrifying legends, the Bell Witch. In 1817, the Bell family began experiencing unexplainable phenomena. It started with strange animals on their property. A creature with the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. Then came the sounds, knocking on doors and windows, chains dragging across floors, voices whispering in the darkness. Then the entity made itself known. It called itself Kate, and it tormented the Bell family for years. It would slap and scratch the children. It would pull hair and throw objects. It held intelligent conversations with visitors. Hundreds of people witnessed this entity, including future President Andrew Jackson. Jackson reportedly said he'd rather fight the British again than stay another night. The Bell Witch eventually claimed responsibility for John Bell's death. She poisoned him, she said, and she laughed at his funeral. The entity told the family it would return in 107 years. It allegedly did in 19... Today, Adams fully embraces its haunted heritage. The Bell Witch Cave is open for tours. Visitors enter the cave where the entity allegedly still resides. Many report being touched, scratched, or pushed inside. Photographs reveal strange figures and anomalies. Electronic equipment fails regularly. But the activity isn't limited to the cave. Throughout Adams, residents report unexplainable occurrences. The Bell Witch supposedly never left. She just spread out across the entire town. If you visit Adams, locals will tell you the rules. Don't disrespect Kate. Don't take anything from the property. And whatever you do, don't invite her home with you, because she might just accept. Town number 8. Jerome, Arizona. Jerome clings to the side of Cleopatra Hill in Arizona. This former copper mining town was once the 4th largest city in the territory. Over 15,000 people lived and worked here. The mines operated around the clock, and they created hell on earth. Mining accidents killed workers regularly. Fires devastated the town multiple times. The 1918 flu pandemic hit Jerome harder than almost anywhere. Bodies piled up faster than they could be buried. Mass graves were dug on the outskirts of town. Prostitution and violence defined daily life. Jerome earned the nickname the wickedest town in the West. When the mines closed, Jerome died. By 1953, only 50 people remained. But Jerome refused to stay dead. Artists and tourists rediscovered the town in the 1960s. Today, about 450 people live here. Along with countless spirits, Jerome is considered one of America's most haunted towns. The Jerome Grand Hotel, formerly a hospital, is ground zero. Hundreds of miners died in this building, many in horrible ways. Guests report shadowy figures in their rooms. Doors lock and unlock by themselves. Unexplainable sounds echo through the hallways. The elevator operates on its own, taking guests to floors they didn't select, floors where the worst deaths occurred. The Connor Hotel is equally haunted. A former prostitute named Jenny Banters died there under mysterious circumstances. Her ghost allegedly still works the hotel. Guests report a woman's voice propositioning them. She whispers in their ears as they fall asleep. Throughout town, spirits walk openly. Bartenders serve drinks to patrons who vanish mid-conversation. Miners in work clothes walk through walls. Children laugh in buildings where children died a century ago. Jerome doesn't hide from its haunted reputation. The town hosts ghost tours every evening. But even the guides will tell you some things they've seen, they don't share with tourists because they don't want to scare people away, and they don't want to anger the spirits that remain. Town number 7, Villisca, IOW. Villisca looks like the perfect small American town. Victorian homes line quiet streets. Neighbors still know each other by name. Children play in well-maintained parks. But Villisca holds a dark secret. On the night of June 9th, 1912, someone entered a home on East 2nd Street. Inside were Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children, and 2 young guests staying overnight. 8 people total. By morning, all 8 were dead, murdered with an axe, while they slept. The killer was never identified. Over a century later, the case remains unsolved. The Villisca Axe Murder House still stands. It's been restored to its 1912 appearance, and it's open to the public. Visitors can tour the house during the day, or they can spend the night, if they dare. The paranormal activity inside is relentless. Objects move by themselves. Disembodied voices are heard regularly. Children's laughter echoes through the house. Visitors report being touched, grabbed, and pushed. Some have been scratched by invisible hands. The scratches draw blood. EVP recordings capture disturbing messages. Children's voices saying hurt and help. An adult voice saying, "I killed 8 people." Some visitors report seeing full-bodied aparições. The children appear most frequently. They seem confused about where they are. They ask visitors to play with them. In 2014, a visitor stabbed himself in the house. He claimed the spirits made him do it. He survived, but he refused to discuss what he experienced. The town of Villisca has mixed feelings about the attention. Some residents embrace the dark tourism. Others wish the house would be torn down. They say whatever's inside has spread beyond those walls. The entire town feels different since the murders. Something changed in 1912, and it never changed back. Town number 6, Dudleytown. Connecticut in the forests of northwestern Connecticut lies. This abandoned village has been called the most haunted place in America. It's also one of the most forbidden. The Dudley family settled here in the 1740s. They came from England, where their ancestors were executed for treason. Some say they brought a curse with them across the Atlantic. Within a generation, tragedy struck. Multiple residents went insane. Murders occurred. Suicides became common. Entire families were found dead under mysterious circumstances. By 1899, Dudleytown was completely abandoned. The forest reclaimed the village. Stone foundations disappeared beneath undergrowth, but something remained in those woods. In the early 20th century, a doctor and his wife moved nearby. He left for a trip and returned to find his wife completely insane. She claimed demons had come out of the forest. She never recovered. Today, Dudleytown sits on property owned by the Dark Entry Forest Association. They've closed it to the public completely. No, trespassing is strictly enforced, but people still try to enter. What they report is terrifying. All wildlife disappears near Dudleytown. No birds sing. No insects chirp. Complete unnatural silence. Hikers report seeing dark figures moving between trees. These figures don't walk. They glide. People feel overwhelming dread and nausea. Some become disoriented and lost. Time seems to work differently there. Some visitors report missing hours they can't account for. Electronic equipment fails consistently. Compasses spin wildly. Cameras malfunction. Cell phones die despite full batteries. Even skeptics who visit come out changed. They don't want to talk about what they experienced, but they never go back. The landowners insist on keeping Dudleytown closed. They say it's for liability reasons, but some believe they know the truth. Some places should remain untouched, and Dudleytown is one of them. Town number 5. Stull, Kansas. Stull, Kansas has fewer than 20 residents. It's barely a town at all. Just a few houses and an old church. But according to legend, Stull is one of the 7 gateways to hell. The abandoned cemetery on the edge of town is the focal point. An old stone church once stood here. It burned down under mysterious circumstances, but the ruins remained. And so did the legends. Locals claim that the devil himself visits Stull twice a year. Once on Halloween, once on the spring equinox. He comes to visit the grave of a witch, or perhaps the grave of his own son. The stories vary, but the fear is consistent. Visitors to the Stull Cemetery report terrifying experiences. Rain allegedly refuses to fall inside the ruined church. Even during thunderstorms, the interior stayed dry. People report being grabbed by invisible hands. Some have seen red glowing eyes in the darkness. Others have heard voices speaking in unknown languages, coming from underground in the 1980s. The stories attracted attention. Curious visitors flocked to Stull. The property owners demolished the church in 2002. They cited safety concerns, but many believe they were trying to close the gateway. It didn't work. The activity continued even after demolition. The cemetery remains active today. Locals don't go near it after dark. They've seen too much over the generations. Some say the Pope himself rerouted his flight to avoid flying over Stull. Whether true or not, the fear is real. Still, Kansas may be one of the smallest towns on our list, but it might be home to the greatest evil. Town number 4, Helltown, Ohio in Summit County. Ohio lies a stretch of abandoned roads and buildings. Locals call it Hell, and the stories surrounding this place are nightmare fuel. In the 1970s, the federal government used eminent domain. They forced residents to leave so the land could become a national park. Homes were boarded up. Businesses were closed. An entire community was displaced. But something went wrong. The park was never fully developed. The buildings were never demolished. They just sat there, rotting. For decades, nature reclaimed the roads. Vandals decorated buildings with disturbing symbols, and legends began to form. Some say the government evacuated residents because of a chemical spill. A spill that created mutations in the local wildlife. Visitors report seeing strange creatures in the woods. Animals that don't move, right? That don't look right. Others claim a satanic cult uses the abandoned buildings. Rituals have allegedly been witnessed. Pentagrams and symbols mark the structures. The most famous location is the abandoned bus. A school bus sits in the woods. Some say it was attacked by escaped mental patients. Others say cult members killed everyone inside. The truth is less dramatic, but the bus remains. Rusted and overgrown. A magnet for paranormal investigators. The end of the world road is another landmark. This dead-end street ends abruptly. Warning signs tell drivers to turn back. Beyond lies, only forest, or so it seems. Strange lights have been witnessed past those signs. People who've investigated have reported being chased by something they couldn't identify. Something fast. The Stanford Road Cemetery adds to the legend. Visitors report being followed by shadowy figures. Graves have been found dug up. From the inside, Helltown continues to draw curious visitors. Mostly frightened. Some don't talk about what they experienced, and a few never came back at all. Town number 3, Point Pleasant. West Virginia Point Pleasant is famous for one thing. In November 1966, 2 young couples were driving near an abandoned power plant. They saw something standing in the darkness. It was over 7 feet tall, gray, with massive wings folded against its body, and red eyes that glowed like bicycle reflectors. The creature chased their car at speeds over 100 miles per hour. This was just the beginning. For the next 13 months, Point Pleasant was terrorized. Over 100 witnesses reported seeing them. It appeared near homes, schools, and churches. It hovered over buildings. It watched. Men in black suits appeared in town. They questioned witnesses. They warned people not to talk. Some witnesses reported receiving threatening phone calls. Voices that didn't sound human. Then came December 5th, 10th, the Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio collapsed. 46 people died. Witnesses reported seeing the Mothman on the bridge moments before collapse. Was it a warning? Or was it responsible? Point Pleasant has never been the same. The Mothman statue stands downtown. The Mothman Museum attracts thousands of visitors annually. But the sightings never stopped. People still report seeing the creature in the surrounding area. Red eyes, watching from tree line. Massive wings, silhouetted against the night sky. Some researchers believe the Mothman appears before disasters. It was allegedly spotted before Chernobyl, before September 11th, before major earthquakes. Point Pleasant residents have learned to live with their strange visitor. Some embrace it, others still fear it. But everyone agrees on one thing. Something came to Point Pleasant in 1960, and whatever it was, never truly left. Town number 2 and Centralia, Pennsylvania. Centralia looks like something from a horror movie, because, in many ways, it is. This town in Pennsylvania has been on fire for over 60 years. In 1962, a coal seam beneath the town ignited, possibly from burning trash in an abandoned mine pit. Firefighters couldn't extinguish it. The fire spread through underground mine tunnels, miles and miles of tunnels running directly beneath the town. At first, residents didn't worry. The fire was underground, out of sight. Life continued as normal. Then the ground started opening up. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy nearly fell into a sinkhole. The hole opened beneath his feet without warning. 4 feet wide, 150 feet deep, filled with lethal carbon monoxide gas. He survived only because his cousin grabbed him. The government finally took action. Over $20 million were spent relocating residents. Most left willingly. The town was essentially condemned. Buildings were demolished. Streets were abandoned. Centralia became a ghost town. But a few residents refused to leave. They remain there today, living above an underground inferno. Steam rises from cracks in the roads. The ground is warm to the touch. The air smells of sulfur. Smoke vents from holes that open without warning. The fire cannot be extinguished. Scientists estimate it could burn for another 250 years. Some say even longer. Visitors to Centralia describe an apocalyptic atmosphere. The abandoned streets are cracked and buckled. The few remaining structures are surrounded by emptiness. Graffiti covers the abandoned highway leading into town. The ground literally smokes beneath your feet. But it's not just the fire that disturbs visitors. People report feeling watched constantly. Shadowy figures appear in the steam. Voices echo from buildings that no longer exist. Some say the spirits of miners killed in the tunnels wander here. Others say something else entirely has moved in. Something that thrives in the heat. Centralia is a portal to the underworld in the most literal sense. Fire beneath death, above, and no escape for anyone who stays too long. Town number 1. The entire town of Dudleytown. Wait, we covered Dudleytown. Let me give you the true number 1. Town number 1. Centralia, plus the surrounding region. Actually, let me properly present the number 1 spot. Town number 1, Burkittsville, Maryland. Burkittsville, Maryland holds our number 1 spot, and you might recognize why. This tiny town of fewer than 200 residents became world famous in A small independent film claimed to tell the true story of 3 filmmakers. They went into the nearby woods. They were never seen again. Their footage was allegedly found 1 year later. The film was called The Blair Witch Project, and it changed Burkittsville forever. But here's what most people don't realize. The legends were real long before the movie. Burkittsville sits at the edge of Frederick County. The surrounding woods have been considered cursed for centuries. In the 1700s, a woman named Ellie Kedward was banished from the town. She was accused of witchcraft, of luring children into the woods and drawing their blood. The townspeople tied her to a tree. They left her to die in the winter cold. The following year, her accusers began disappearing, one by one. Then their children vanished. By 1825, the entire original settlement was abandoned. People who've camped in these woods report terrifying experiences. Stick figures appear hanging from trees overnight. Strange sounds surround tents after dark. Whispers come from every direction. Some campers report losing time, entering the woods at noon and emerging at midnight, with no memory of the hours between. Researchers using audio equipment have captured unexplainable recordings. Children's voices calling for help, a woman's voice speaking in an unknown language, and laughter. Everywhere! The laughter. The townspeople of Burkittsville are tired of tourists. The Blair Witch Project was fiction, they say, but the tourists kept coming, taking photos with the town sign, trespassing in the woods. Some never came back. Officially, they got lost. Officially, they left the area. But locals know better. They know what's in those woods. They've always known. They just didn't talk about it before the movie brought attention. Some say the Blair Witch was based on real legends. Legends the filmmakers heard from locals. Legends that had been passed down for generations. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, something isn't right in Burkittsville. The woods watch. The woods wait. And sometimes, the woods take. This is why Burkittsville, Maryland is the creepiest small town in America. The truth is scarier than any movie. And the town that inspired it all still stands, waiting for its next visitor. There you have it. 18 of the creepiest small towns in the United States, from burning underground fires to unexplained creatures, from mass murders to demonic gateways. These places exist. They have addresses. You could visit them if you wanted, but after what you've learned today, would you? Some viewers will dismiss these stories. They'll call them legends and exaggerations. They'll demand scientific explanations. But I challenge those viewers to visit these places. Spend the night in Dudleytown's Forbidden Forest. Camp in the woods outside Burkittsville. Walk through Centralia at midnight. Then tell me nothing is there. The truth is, there are places in America we don't understand. Places where something went terribly wrong. Places where that wrongness never healed. Maybe some locations absorb tragedy like a sponge. Maybe some land is cursed from the beginning. Maybe there are things in this world we aren't meant to understand. What I do know is this. Locals in every town on this list issued the same warning. Don't come here. Don't stay after dark. Don't take anything with you. And whatever you do, don't invite anything home. Because some of these things will follow. And once they're with you, they don't leave. Thank you for watching. If this video kept you awake tonight, you're welcome. Hit subscribe if you want more content like this. And leave a comment telling me which town disturbed you most. I'll be reading every single one from the darkness of my own room with all the lights on. Just in case. Sleep well. If you can.